Most people think they know what's going to kill them. A car crash, cancer, some rare disease they once heard about, something sudden, something dramatic, something obvious. That's the picture most people have in their head. Fast, loud, unpredictable. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That's not how most people die. And what actually kills the majority of people is far less dramatic and far more predictable. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the exact pattern that quietly shortens millions of lives. And chances are, it's already part of yours. Let's start with what people fear the most: accidents. They feel dangerous because they are unpredictable. They happen fast. They look brutal. They make headlines. And because of that, they take up a lot of mental space. But statistically, most people don't die from sudden external events. They die from internal systems breaking down over time, slowly, quietly, repeatedly. And here's the part most people don't fully realize. The biggest killers in the world are not rare. They are extremely common. Heart disease, stroke, metabolic-related conditions. These aren't unusual events. They are outcomes. Outcomes of processes that run for years. Think of your body like a system, not a one-time event machine, a system, like your phone. Your phone doesn't suddenly stop working for no reason. It slows down, battery drains faster, apps start lagging, performance drops. At first, it's small, then it becomes noticeable. But even then, you keep using it. You adapt to the decline. Your body works in a very similar way, except there's one important difference. You don't get a replacement. Now here's the shift most people miss. What kills you is usually not a single event. It's accumulation. Small decisions, repeated daily. Food choices, sleep patterns, stress levels, movement or lack of it. Individually, none of these feel dangerous. Skipping sleep once? Fine. Eating fast food? Fine. Sitting most of the day? Normal. But together, they stack, like background processes you never close. Let's talk about one of the biggest categories, cardiovascular disease. It's one of the leading causes of death globally, and it doesn't appear overnight. It develops. Blood pressure slowly increases. Cholesterol accumulates over time. Blood vessels become less flexible. You don't feel it happening. There's no alert, no warning signal, no moment where your body clearly tells you something is wrong. Until one day, it does. And here's the dangerous part. The early stages often have no obvious symptoms. You can feel completely fine while something is already changing inside. That's why people are often surprised. They say, "I didn't see it coming." But in reality, it was building. Quietly, gradually, predictably. Now let's talk about behavior. Not motivation, not discipline, just patterns. Research consistently shows that smoking, poor diet, low physical activity, and chronic stress are strongly linked to major diseases. Not instantly, but over time. It's not one bad decision, it's repetition. And here's where things get even more interesting. Your brain is not designed to care about slow damage. It reacts to immediate threats. Loud noise? Attention. Fast danger? Reaction. But slow processes? They don't feel urgent. They don't trigger alarm, which is why long-term risks feel distant, even when they're not. Think about it like a subscription, a small cost, charged repeatedly. You don't notice it every day, but over time, it becomes significant. Your health works the same way, except instead of money, it's time being taken away. Now let's talk about stress. Not the obvious kind, not the short bursts that come and go. Chronic stress, the kind that stays in the background. Constant pressure, constant thinking, no real mental off switch. Over time, it affects the body in measurable ways. Sleep quality drops, recovery slows, internal systems remain activated longer than they should. Again, not dramatic, but consistent. Sleep is another underestimated factor because you can function without it, at least temporarily. But chronic sleep deprivation is associated with multiple long-term health risks. Sleep is not just rest, it's repair. It's when the system resets. Without it, small problems don't get fixed, they accumulate. Now here's the paradox. Most of the biggest risk factors feel completely normal. Sitting for long hours, eating convenient food, ignoring small symptoms, delaying checkups. Nothing extreme. Nothing that feels dangerous in the moment. That's exactly why it works, because it blends into everyday life. And here's the real question. If the risks are so predictable, why don't people act earlier? The answer is simple, because the consequences are delayed. You don't feel tomorrow's damage today, so the brain discounts it. Think about how most serious conditions develop. They don't appear overnight, they build, step by step, month by month, year by year, until one day something crosses a threshold, and suddenly it becomes visible. At that point, it feels sudden, but it wasn't. It was a long process, one that started much earlier than most people realize. Your body is constantly compensating. That's why you can push it for so long. It adapts, balances, adjusts. But compensation has limits. And when those limits are reached, that's when systems begin to fail. This is why prevention feels invisible. You don't see the disease you avoided. You don't feel the damage that didn't happen. So it's easy to underestimate small, consistent actions. But from a biological perspective, those small actions are everything, because they influence the system before it breaks. Now let's flip the perspective. If damage accumulates slowly, so does improvement. You don't need extreme changes, you need consistent ones. More movement, better sleep, basic awareness, less neglect. Not perfect, just better than before. Because in the long run, consistency beats intensity, almost every time. And here's the part most people don't think about. You don't feel your future self, you only feel the present one. So every decision is made by someone who won't experience the consequences immediately, which creates a strange situation. You are constantly negotiating with your future self, and most people keep giving him the worst deal. More stress, less recovery. More damage, less repair. Until eventually, the system reflects those choices. So when we ask, what actually kills most people? The deeper answer is this: not one big event, but thousands of small ones. And maybe that's the real danger. Not that it happens, but that it doesn't feel like it's happening, until it becomes impossible to ignore. Until the system can't compensate anymore, until something finally breaks. And by then, it feels sudden. It feels unexpected. But it never was. It was always there, quiet, gradual, predictable, running in the background the entire time. And once you see that pattern, you can't unsee it. Because now every small decision has context. Not dramatic, but directional. And that changes something. Not instantly, but over time. Just like everything else in this system. Subscribe if you like this video, and give me your thoughts in the comments.